In Parand, Iran, January 8th, Nariman Garib recorded this recording. This is a single frame of the video. It belongs to him, not the New York Times. The flash and sound are 10 seconds apart, speed of sound being 1,100 feet per second approximately. This impact was a little over 2 miles away from him at that moment. So a couple of websites have given out information on what happened and referencing this in another video. The other video appears to be much, much further north of him. Now, I don't know anything about this, only what I've been able to get. So I'm going to point out a couple of characteristics in this. This is a metal tower that's used to hold up a light source. The area in front here looks like a construction site. There's a little building here and another one behind it. And that over there is a pole in the distance, and there are more of them. These are the lights that are roughly the same height, and these are street lights at each intersection. And these are tower blocks, or whatever you want to call them, and that's pretty much the length of one tower block there. And as you went around here, you could see another set of little buildings off to the end. I'm not going to zoom in on the map because I can't confirm this on a map, and even if I use Google Earth, the maps are not necessarily accurate because this is Iran, and that you're not going to get standard useful information sometimes. Now, part of this is, almost all of this is speculation on my part because nobody's released the flight path that happened because we don't have that information. The only information that's available is where the plane took off from, which is at this airport. And it hit over here. And from this guy's position where he was standing, according to the only reports I can find, which again are probably completely wrong, the impact by the missile, and it was something striking the airplane, it could have been anything, but it was probably a missile at this point, was here. Since the airplane would have had to have flown out here and then be going that direction on purpose, headed that direction, it probably went around the airport here. It probably went around all of these properties here to not be over a populated area, and was probably traveling on this kind of a beam, and I'm not sure exactly where it was heading. It says where it was heading, but I don't know. So here we go again with me speculating. Since the impact had to be over 2 miles away at this location here approximately, and this is really vague, okay? This timing on the video recording for the cell phone could be completely screwed, could have gone through 15 uploads. Okay, that indicates that the airplane took off from here, don't know the pathway, probably avoided all of these cities, went around here and was probably going to go through this area here for whatever reason. Maybe it's a zone you're not supposed to fly over, maybe you can't fly over certain areas, and then it was hit with a missile. Now, when you see the video, something hits here and then seems to continue down this way, like a chunk of the missile or something. Or not. At the location of impact, which is the only thing that is actually straightforward understood, and again, I don't even have the ability to confirm that, they found the nose of a guided missile, or a self-guiding missile, and it's the control surfaces on it. They're little winglets, that sort of thing. So that gives you an idea of what might have happened. I'm assuming the airplane took a sharp right turn and was going over the area, and maybe their transponder went dead and they couldn't see it, or maybe the equipment they used to make sure that they're not shooting down a commercial aircraft failed. Either way, the most likely outcome here is that this was an accident. Anyway, it went it seems like another 10 miles, stop doing that, over to here, and impacted approximately 10 miles north of this part of the airfield. That's the only information I could find. This is the Wikipedia version done by Wabtec, as we all say. Now, this is the map you'll see on one of the websites I'm going to give a link to, and the claim was it was hit with an SA-15 Gauntlet guidance system driven, Gauntlet fired missile. And they found the guidance section in that area. Now, they show this here, but then they very quietly, here's the north pointing. Now, the aircraft tail section is found here, but the whole thing's this wide, so it makes it look like it landed in a nice straight line, and it was just a bunch of parts falling. But the trouble is, this is a deceptive image. I don't even know why anybody would go through the effort on a map of putting something sideways when you could put it in a different position. The only thing that was accomplished by rotating this over 90 degrees was to make it harder to locate it on a map. So this is what happens when you fix it. As you can see from me grabbing the edge here, and I'm pointing it north. So you get this arrangement of the map. and it was from left to right, and this is how wide of a field it was. It was a bunch of debris falling at that point. It broke up and crashed hard. And it appears to, in the second video, have taken several turns trying to correct something or trying to recover it, but they lost contact with it about the point that it got hit. This is the area it landed in. And as you can see, there's this tennis court here, or a football field, excuse me. And over here you can see this rather specific shape here. So it hit in this area. So this entire area is just a debris field. And, I mean, it impacted. So anyway, on the 6th of January, the Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752, the Boeing 737-8KV, serial number 38124, registration UR-PSR, was inspected and found to be flight ready. 2 a.m. local time on the 8th of the month, Iranian military launched 15 retaliatory missiles towards U.S. military bases in Iraq. 6:12 local time, around 4 hours later, it was supposed to depart, but it departed late. That might have contributed to it. And it was at stand number 116 and took off from runway 29R, which indicates 29 degrees, of Tehran Imam Khomeini International Airport. Now that's 29R. If you look up how they do the numbering and letterings, it means, that's supposed to mean something, some multiple of a degree in angle, like 290 degrees. Okay? All right. By 6:14, the final ADS-B data was received, and it said that it was at 270 knots, or 509 kilometers per hour, at 1,400 meters, or 4,000 feet above ground level, and still climbing to achieve proper flight altitude. It was in a climb, going up away from the ground. And by 6-something, we don't know, sometime after that, or sometimes during that, in Brand, Iran, Nariman Garib's video showed the flash and sound 10 seconds apart. Since the speed of sound is around that speed, it was over 2 miles away. And a later video showed the aircraft was now on fire when some of its parts broke up in midair, and then it began to dive and crashed. Iran's Road and Transportation Ministry of Truth decided to lie about it and said a fire started on one of the engines, causing the pilot to lose control and crash into the ground, which doesn't make any fucking sense because that would require that they had the flight data recorder. The Iran's Road and Transportation Ministry told a lie. Nearly half of the passengers were dual nationals, but Iran will only recognize and report and acknowledge their nationalism of being Iranian citizens and ignore the other countries they have dual citizenship. This caused discrepancies in reports, and some of this was also due to damage control and propaganda by the guilty parties involved. The plane was hit by a missile, most likely, but could have been literally anything. The extreme levels of attempting to cover it up by claiming it was an engine problem when there would be no way for them to know that at the time very much indicates that Iran is guilty. Personally, I think they are. Next, this was an accident. There's no value in doing this. It would only endanger their own citizenry, and there's no reason to shoot down a commercial aircraft. So the most likely thing is it was an accident. They were on heightened alert. They just finished attacking American locations, specifically bases, and they were doing it in retribution for something else that happened. By the way, I should point out that there was a stampede at the funeral of somebody who died when we bombed the area. They had a stampede and a bunch of people died saying farewell to somebody. So they ended up killing themselves in some cases. Again, I can't confirm any of this, and the most important part of this is that it shows that the flight path was probably from the airport somewhere. Probably went around here. It went over the industrial town, as they call it. Over here, probably turned around and was headed this way. And after being hit, the pilot still kept the thing from hitting the ground until down here. That's a pretty good distance it went. So, yeah, that's around 10 miles. Kept it aloft when it was around over a mile up in the air. I don't have any real information other than that. Nobody's giving out any details or flight pathways. They don't know what the answers are. And if they do find a flight recorder, they'll obviously have to give up the goods on that. But the telemetry was ended, which means whatever part of the aircraft would be responsible for sending telemetry of what was going on with the engines stopped working at that moment. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that, and I'm sorry this happened. That was a bunch of people who didn't need to die.